So as a founder making content, you need to not fall into this one trap that most founders fall into, which is that they tend to make content out of things that they find interesting, out of the things that they think that other people might like, right? That is the absolute wrong way of making content. In fact, there is a playbook that you can use that's a repeatable playbook, right? We are not making content to be influencers. We are not making content in order to get as many views as possible. We are making content in order to get in front of the right eyes. We are making content in order to capture the right people in the market and compete for the right kind of eyeballs that can potentially pay. I have a friend that has 400,000 followers on Instagram, and he's barely able to cross $10,000 a month. And the simple reason is because he is all this while, all that this guy has done is he has used his brain rot reels and all these other things in order to get this audience. But that's a really, really bad strategy, because honestly, all the people that come to this guy's account are kids. I cannot pay him. No wonder he's struggling to even make $10,000 a month, because it's really hard to monetize when you're working with kids, right? So today we're going to talk about how you actually should think about topics of content so that you can actually get the audience that you are looking to get, and not just random eyeballs on a screen, right? We're going to use this predictable system. I recommend that all founders use. So as a founder, you shouldn't just be making content because you love a topic. You shouldn't just be making content that you find you shouldn't be making content because you saw someone else. You shouldn't be making content because someone else told you to do it, right? This told you to do it. So essentially, what we are looking at is that we want a system that can repeatedly get you all these things, right? I have used the system to get about 52,000 followers on my Instagram, and I'm going to teach you how to do this for your own personal brand, right? So right off the bat, there are a couple of ways that you can do this, right? So one of the primary ways that you can do this is splitting your content in batches, right? When you are looking at content, we are looking at specific content pieces designed for specific purpose. We want each piece to signify something, right? That is where we position our content such that we are splitting it for different purposes. It's with 4 parts here, but let's break all these down. Number 1 is awareness expansion content. So basically what we're trying to do is we are trying to explain a specific problem as you see in the industry, right? For example, if you were in the weight loss space, you would talk about the raising gyno issue in Indian males, or the declining testosterone problem, where every year it has declined per year, and these are the exercises that potentially solve it. That is awareness expansion. I'm going to be using a fitness example so that everybody can get it, because we all understand our bodies and etc., right? So we are dealing here with leads that are unaware of the problems and the potential solutions that exist, right? We are trying to bring their awareness onto this. Second kind of content bucket is a how-to, right? These are problem-aware sections of the market, right? So we are trying to help our ICP achieve things with a step-by-step procedure, right? We are dealing with a problem-aware crowd here that wants a solution that is clear and concise, right? You can see here that I've used this in my own content. This is like an awareness expansion content. This is more of a how-to content, and right here we have authenticity content, which is bucket number 3, right? So here is where we are trying to get a human-to-human connection with effective storytelling. What's going on here that we want our ICP to trust us, right? We are not making content for the sake of pulling as many views as possible, but we want the right kind of people and we want them to trust. We want to put our learnings out in a very natural way. We can also blend in a bit of our lifestyle and talk about our opinions. This is very niche specific. If you're working with huge tech companies, VCs, I do not recommend putting a lot of authenticity content, although a percentage of it would be nice. And the last one is attractor content. We here are talking about more general topic that the ICP can face, right? So these might be things that we are bringing into the market, right? So I will give you fitness related examples to all of these things so that everybody can understand it. So we want the ICP to know that we understand them. So we talk about topics that are more general and easily understandable, right? So that is basically what we are talking about here. Now, if we were to break this down as far as how each one of these things would work, in the awareness expansion phase, if you are working as a fitness coach, what you would talk about is a very specific problem, right? So we would talk about the declining testosterone rates in males, right? So we don't make it complicated whatsoever. We just talk about very simple things that the general public understands, right? So that would be awareness expansion based content. Now, how would we translate this to the rest of the content pieces? Let me just break this down in detail for you. Second is a how-to. So we would talk about specific how-tos as a fitness coach by breaking down what our ICP might want. Because we talked about testosterone, let's just take the ICP as Indian males or males under the age of 25. I'm taking an Indian example because I'm Indian. So what we would talk about is basically how to start your fitness journey and actually get rid of your intimidation in the first days of gym. I'm just an example top of my head. Third is the authenticity content. We want that human-to-human connection, right? So here is where we have a chance to open up about ourselves. So here is where we can actually wow our audience with, wow, this guy understands my journey. So as a fitness coach, I would explain how I was a fat kid. I was the kid that everybody bullied, and eventually I learned to overcome that. That is the type of content that I would be structuring, and I would. And finally, we come to attractor content, right? So this is more like we are talking in general terms to reach the wider audience, right? So if we look at fitness, it's already pretty wide, and if we are looking at talking to males, what we could also do is talk about resolutions, new year resolution. What are the costs of not following your new year resolution, and self-esteem, things like that, right? These are all things that people face. So we are going away from the market here. So all of these different content buckets have their own purposes, right? So when we are looking at awareness expansion, we are talking about content pieces that are designed in order for an ICP to be aware of a specific problem that they didn't even know that they had, right? The only true way to predictably this and help our ICP be problem aware is that we are going to help them see through the issues that they might have. As we talk about the second one, which is a how-to, we need to help them achieve something so that we get that credibility with them, right? So this might be a very specific problem and how to actually solve it. Once they implement those steps, they're going to trust us way more. Third one is authenticity, right? The authenticity content layer is also very important, because we are looking at connecting with someone one-on-one, right? No matter what niche people want to buy from people, right? So that is what we're looking to do with the authenticity content. Now finally, attractor content is more wide. It goes out to the market and gets as many content. This is a way better playbook than actually just copying content that you find interesting because you saw someone else that did it, someone told you to do it. And don't just make content because you love a topic, right? Make content to get people interested, to get people to buy from you. This is the predictable way to do that, right? Follows all the 3 steps of bringing them down the funnel, right? So all of these can attract your audience, nurture your damn audience, then convert it, right? So if we look at this specific thing, when we are looking at the awareness expansion content, it could be done in order to nurture our audience, right? If we know that our audience is facing some kind of a problem and they want help in certain domains of their life, that they didn't even know, they want an expert to talk to, that's where the awareness expansion content comes in, right? Authenticity content is also used to nurture. So we are using this in order to get that human to human connection, and that's what we do. Now here's the kicker, which is that the attractor and the how to content can both be used in order to attract people into our funnel, right? So these two can be done really well in order to get people into a funnel, and then to convert, we all of course need specific things with pitching and things like that. So it follows a really clean and easy playbook in order to get people down the system, in order for us to get paid. This is actually how to make intentional content, and not just make content for the sake of making content because someone else told us to, someone else asked us to, none of that stuff. This is how to make content that you can monetize and potentially get paid from. Complete system. If you would like to see more videos like this, and I would love to make some. New to the channel, subscribe and drop me a like. Also, quick little drill for you. Looking at this topic, what type of content do you think that this fell into? Let me know down in the